The seminar you are about to enjoy is intense. CPU intense. Please ensure all other web browsers, windows, and media-heavy programs are closed before participating. You may experience audio or video loss if running other programs. Thanks. Live from living rooms and laboratories across the country, this is Person to Person. Tonight, Reaching for the Stars, My eCybermission Story, with Christopher Deleon and Evan Bean.
Mr. Deleon is a 6th through 9th grade science teacher at Hudson Middle School in Hudson, Wisconsin. He has been a member of the AEOP Membership Council for several years, but more importantly, he has been a leader within his district for the AEOP eCybermission program. We're lucky to have him here tonight to speak with us about his experience in the program and to share his insights. Christopher, would you like to start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. As you said, I've been teaching at Hudson Middle School. I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I've been a teacher there for 20 years. And I have also been the district's eCybermission mentor and have mentored students in eCybermission for about 6 years now.
So, Chris, what exactly is the eCybermission program?
Oh, eCybermission is a great program through the AEOP that allows students really to take control of their learning. They form teams of between 3 and 4 students. They identify a problem in their community and they research that problem and look for real solutions to those problems. And then they put their research together and they're able to submit a mission folder to eCybermission and with the hopes of winning some pretty cool prizes.
You mentioned prizes. Just out of curiosity, what kind of prizes are on the table for students that participate?
Well, what I really love about eCybermission is that they have prizes at the state, regional, and national levels. At the state level, eCybermission teams could, if they win second place, it's $500 per student savings bond. If they win first place, it's $1,000, and then it goes on to regional judging where they could win an additional $1,000, and if they win regionals, an all expense paid trip to Washington D.C. for nationals. Wow. And if they win nationals, they would win a total of about $9,000.
Wow. Would you say that the prize incentives are the main reason that students get involved, or what have you found your students really take away most from these competitions?
My experiences with over the years is that initially it's the prizes that get them excited about it and really spark their interest. But once they start working as a team, it's no longer about the money. It's no longer about the prizes. It's more about the passion. They really find their passion and they're able to let their passion lead them, lead their research, lead their writing. And a lot of times the money or the prizes is just secondary. It's really the passion for their learning and their topic that really drives their teams.
Could you speak a little bit to some of the passion projects that your students specifically have run through in the past?
Oh, sure. Gosh, I love talking about my students, and my students have done some pretty amazing things. And I look back to when I was in middle school, I was, my thought process, whatever, and I was nowhere near to their level. They have worked on in the past is I had my very to remove nitrogen from water due to Wisconsin. We're very big in agriculture, so like corn, soybeans, things like that, and so nitrogen runoff. That nitrogen from was pretty neat. I've had students designed ways to protect you from the blue light emitted by cell phones. I've had students design ways to filter water to make it pure using eggshells, so of all things. So they've done some pretty amazing things, and you just never know which direction your students are going to take you and the journey that they're going to have. It's been really kind of cool to see what they've done. So
you've mentioned a pretty large breadth of different project types, ranging from technology to some more I don't know, like handheld kind of thing. So it would seem that it's a bit of an open-ended decision for the students to work on whatever project they would want, or is there a theme going year by year?
Yeah, that's right. Students really are the driving factor. eCybermission, what's really unique about eCybermission compared to some other STEM competitions is that it really has different categories that students can find projects to fit in. So there's robotics, there's national security, there's environmentalism, there's food, health, and fitness. And there's some more out there too. So really, if they have a project they are interested in or identify a problem, it usually fits in one of those categories. So it's really about opening those doors wide for the students and letting them take the lead and really follow the direction that they want to.
That's fantastic. Now, I understand, Chris, that you have some slides prepared for us to walk us through a bit more in more detail about what eCybermission means to you and for students that would like to get involved. Would you want to show that to us?
Sure. So again, I've been working with 6th through 8th graders. However, eCybermission is open to 6th through 9th graders. But at my middle school, we only go through 8th grade, but it is open to 6th through 9th graders. And a little bit about eCybermission. It's a web-based technology, engineering, math, or STEM competition for those students to really, again, discover who they are, find their passion, and be able to let that passion lead them into some pretty amazing places. And as stated before, when we look at the different categories eCybermission has, here are those categories. There's alternative sources of energy, environment, food, health, and fitness, forces in motion, national security and safety, environment, robotics, forces in motions, and technology. And again, what's really cool about eCybermission is not only are they following their passion, but you really never know who's going to take interest in student projects. The picture on this slide, for example, is a team that I had that wanted to study how blue light affects sleep patterns. And when they were brainstorming for their mission or for their project, they actually, this is right around the time where the movie The Martian was out in movie theaters. It was, big, huge movie, blockbuster. And they used that movie as inspiration for their project. They actually designed an inflatable Martian hab at our school and spent an entire weekend studying how blue light affects sleep. And they built this bubble. They went in on Friday morning, still going through all their classes virtually before today's world. And during their mission, and they didn't come out till Sunday morning, but during their mission, the director of NASA contacted them, the Kennedy Space Center, director of Kennedy Space Center. They were and interviewed them. They were interviewed by NASA engineers and educational specialists. There are students from all over the country following them on social media. They were tweeted about from the International Space Station. And at our school, where it happened to be a Project Lead the Way school, which is an engineering curriculum, national engineering curriculum. Well, they found out about all the buzz the team was getting, and they invited them to present their project at the Project Lead the Way Summit in Indianapolis. And wow. So they got to present their project in front of just about 2,000 people, and standing on stage and really, seeing them up there was really kind of a proud moment as a teacher. And they got to introduce the keynote speaker, who was John Urschel, used to play for the Baltimore Ravens. Damon John was there, who is on the show Shark Tank, started the company Fubu. And really, they were my most famous team in educational circles. I've had teachers ask about them all the way from Maine to Hawaii. And even to this day, they're still known as the STEM Sisters, and they just graduated.
Wow.
But they really became leaders at the school. in terms of STEM and really, setting the standard for what students could really do.
Absolutely.
So that was really kind of cool.
It seems, kind of crazy that you can have middle school students, speaking in front of these huge crowds at, prestigious seminars. But I guess it's just one of the great opportunities that eCybermission affords to students that really get invested in the program.
That's right. Yeah. You never know who's going to take note, and again, it goes beyond the competition really, because it's all about their learning, and they really learn to follow their passion. Now, a big question is like, how do you compete? How do you get involved in eCybermission? And it's really, really fairly easy. Students can, some teachers in some schools use eCybermission actually as their science curriculum. I use it as more of a club, so it's more of an extension of what we learn in class. And what I tell students is that they form a team of between 3 and 4 students. They have to be from the same grade. They don't necessarily have to be in the same school, but they have to be in the same state and they have to be in the same grade, just because eCybermission actually gives prizes to each grade level. So it's not like 6th graders are competing against 9th graders. They get to compete against their own age group. And then they register online, and really that's it. They work together to identify a problem, again, following their passion. They research that problem together. And really, when we talk about collaboration, we talk about students reading publications, scientific journals, being able to compare data. Really, if we look at everything a student needs to know in school, eCybermission provides that. They can synthesize different sources. They have to tell the difference between an authentic source, and something that is not as reliable. Their writing skills are put to the test too, because the first draft is always terrible. I tell my students just get that out there, and by the time you know it, they're working on their 13th, 14th, even 20th draft, and they're begging you to have more time to look over their research. And then after they're done, or when they feel that they're done, then you submit it in the form of a mission folder, just asking all these questions about like, what did you do for this, or what did you find in your research, or what were your sources, and you submit it, and then it gets judged first at the state level, and then if you win state, on the regional level, and then eventually on the national level, again with the top prize of $9,000 in savings bonds, which is pretty significant.
I guess another great thing that you mentioned specifically is that students don't have to be from the same school. So presumably homeschooled students or students that maybe not have a huge social circle at some schools, they can all get involved in this program outside of the circles that they're usually in.
Yeah, that's right. And especially with today or with virtual learning being a consideration in different parts of the country, and we never know what's going to happen tomorrow. Even everything changes, but the research they can do, this can be done at home. They can collaborate through different online tools. They don't physically have to be there in person to make those collaborations happen. And not only their own circle, but also it extends beyond. I've had students that have reached out to different industry professionals. One team had an oil company send them oil samples, crude oil samples, to do their research on. So it's really reaching out beyond the classroom, beyond even their circle, like you said, and talking to those industry professionals, collaborating with people that really know what they're talking about and do this for a living. But having those students interact at that kind of level is it sets them up for success in the future, even if they may not go as far in the competition, or even if they don't win what they think they should. It ends up being not about the winnings. It ends up being about the passion and those connections. You never know where those could lead, and just the ability to talk to people and be able to communicate with people and be able to talk on their level. Finding that information that's necessary for you to do your research. That's a skill in itself.
Absolutely, yeah. And
then I do have a quote from one of my former students. What I did was I have students at the end of eCybermission, as they're wrapping up, as we hit submit, I have them write letters to future teams, because I really want students to be able to hear the voices of people that sit in the same chairs that they have sat in, or that have been in there, walking the halls with them, people that they see as peers. Because me as a teacher, I see things one way, but when they can hear voices or read letters from people that have done it, have gone through it, I think it holds a lot more weight than for me. So I'm going to read this, and it really sets up what I hope that all teams walk out with. It says, "Dear future teams, Mr. Deleon asked us to give you some advice, but I don't know what to tell you. It's pretty black and white. You'll win or you'll lose. So I guess my advice would be to choose a topic that you love so much you would never regret spending hours on it. The reality is that in the beginning of all this, you're probably going to be doing this for the money you could win or a few extra words you could write on a college resume. The sooner you stop thinking that way is the sooner your project can start going somewhere. In the end, it's passion that moves your project beyond others. It's the love of your topic and that causes you to work nonstop. If you really love your project and the people you've worked on it with, then the word lose seems inaccurate, even if the competition says you don't win. Good luck."
That's fantastic. And it really is remarkable, all the work that students can do in this self-guided way. But as of course you mentioned, it's important to have a mentor to take you through the process. And it seems as though you've been a terrific mentor for your students in past years. Now, I have a question relating to that. Say you're a student that your school doesn't have an eCybermission program, and you're trying to find a mentor to show you the ropes. How do you go about doing that?
Well, one of the ways you can do that is you can, when you register, one of the things that you're able to do is you can see all the mentors that may be in your state. So that's one way you can find a mentor. Is you can reach out to that person and ask them if they'll mentor you. Another way is it doesn't necessarily have to be a teacher. It could be a parent if you're homeschooled. It could be somebody from the library. It could be somebody from church. So really, a mentor is just somebody who's going to help guide you. It doesn't necessarily mean that person has to be a teacher. It just means that somebody who's going to help guide you, work through the process of submitting your mission folder or helping you do the next steps.
Absolutely. And as you said before, it's all an online sign up and pretty straightforward from there after you look up eCybermission online.
That's right.
Now we have a follow-up question to that from the audience coming in. It's kind of the opposite. It says, "I'm a 7th grade teacher and I've wanted to participate in the program for a while, but no one in my school has ever done anything like it. How do you get started?"
All right. So, everybody has to do something for the first time, right? And so my first time with eCybermission, what I did was I read through it because I had known about it in the past. So when I first found it, I read through the requirement and thought, my students could benefit from that. And so it's just like you tell your students, you just got to try. And you don't know where it's going to lead necessarily. There are tools, great tools on the eCybermission webpage that show you step by step. They give you some pointers on how to start a team, some team building activities to do with students. There's some great information out there if you look on eCybermission, just how to compete on doing it for the first time. But really, sometimes it's just, hey, students, here's an opportunity for you. Let's work on this together. Let's learn together. And really, the teacher or the mentor becomes part of a team in a sense that if in the case where you've never done it before, because you're all learning about together. And again, you never know. You just got to try. When I first started, I was thinking, I always hear about other schools winning this prize or, school in California or Oregon. Well, why them? Why not us? And so we just gave it a try. And then when you make that first attempt, then it really sets the building blocks for future years. The things you learned this year can be put to use next year. And so each team will benefit from that very first try. Just give it a shot. It's super easy. It doesn't take up a ton of time. If you're a teacher, it works right into your curriculum. As I said, it really benefits all curriculum, from math, because you have to chart reading data tables, looking for the median, looking for the mode, writing skills, both in science and in language arts. It's really a multi-faceted approach that benefits their entire learning experience.
Now, from that, both for the student's perspective and the teacher's perspective, what do you find to be the most challenging aspect of the mission?
I kind of chuckle because the things that you would think of as the most challenging are not really that challenging. Here's the things that I found are the most challenging. One is deciding on a team name. You'd be surprised at how difficult that is for students to think of a team name. And they come up with some crazy names. And what I tell them is, when you read that name in a newspaper, or you see it on stage, or they're talking about it, are you going to be embarrassed about it? Because there's been some funny ones come up. Finding a team name is pretty difficult. But after that, once that's taken care of, and believe it or not, I have students that spent an entire month just trying to think of a name. But the next thing, and really the hardest thing for students to do, is find a topic. There's so many different problems out there in their community. And it doesn't matter what community you live in, there's problems all over the place. But finding one that you want to stick with. And as a mentor's job, my job is to kind of help them weed out which ones make sense and which ones don't. Because some of their ideas are huge. They have these really big ideas, and they're great ideas, but we have to look at budgets. We have to look at, can we really do that within this period of time? And so we have to look for some realistic ideas that they can do within the allotted time, and be able to research and find sources, before the deadline, which is usually end of February, beginning of March, that general area time. But those two things, once those two things are solidified, you have your name, you have your topic, the rest is pretty easy, I would say.
So like you said, what you think would be the hardest part, once you get into the role of things, it becomes a little bit easier.
That's right. Because you know what you're researching, you know what your topic is. You can plan out where you need to look for more information, or reach out to this college, or reach out to that professor, or professional, or wherever. That's pretty easy once you have your direction. It's just finding that direction. And what I found helpful is that when I sit down with my teams, we just write down every single idea, no matter how silly it is. We write it down, and we whittle it down from there. And some other teams have benefited from those lists, because they can see, okay, what have teams in the past thought of? Where did they start? What ideas did they throw out because they weren't so good? Well, I like those, and maybe it makes sense for our team to research those. So once you get those ideas going, and once your team name is done, the rest goes so quick.
I find it so crazy that we have middle school students reaching out to industry professionals and professors and universities at that level. I mean, I personally didn't start doing any of that until like high school, or even now that I'm in college. But it's great to see those skills and that courage really starting off so young. Off of the idea of, doing great things, what I guess the flip to the biggest challenges would be the greatest successes, both as an educator running this program at your school and for your students who are actually participating.
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, my team that presented in front of 2,000 people, and that video is available online. Their team was called the STEM Sisters. And when seeing them on stage, again, if I was their father, I could not be more proud of them. And that pretty much summed up what I hope all students walk away with, is that confidence to, present their passion up there and be able to, speak confidently to a large group, or anybody out there. That has been quite a success. I've had students that have gotten involved in doing different projects because of their work on eCybermission. For example, I had a team that was asked to present their research to students from all around the world virtually. So students in Saudi Arabia, Bangladesh, India, they presented there. I've had students that have presented their project directly to NASA engineers, which was pretty amazing. And really, me stepping into the shadows and letting the students shine. I mean, again, proud dad moment, proud teacher moment, whatever you want to call it. Those are the successes. And it's when students walk out of my classroom after working on eCybermission, and they're talking about in the hallways, or like in the case of the STEM sisters, there's, like as I said, they're still called the STEM sisters, even through high school. That shows how big of an impact they had on our school culture, not on just our culture. And that makes huge success. And another success that kind of goes along with it is that when I first started Hudson Middle School, and I went there right after college, the male to female student ratio was probably like 6 or 10 to 1, where there weren't a lot of girls signing up for those classes. And now it's 2 to 1, and in some cases it's 1 to 1. So the diversity of the student population has really changed, has really increased. And we are, our students are seeing where engineering and STEM and research is just part of who they are. It's part of what they become, and them having to look for 10 sources and be able to really support their theories or disprove their theories, and being able to see their failures as opportunities to grow rather than something that they need to hide is that in itself is huge. And that's all from eCybermission, is being able to show students succeeding, being able to show them what they're capable of, and seeing that is I can't even put into words.
So one part off of that, we have another audience question that happens to be very similar to what we were just saying. As an educator, what part of AEOP and eCybermission, I guess not what part has influenced you the most, but in what ways has eCybermission influenced you? Has it changed your curriculum at all? How you approach the classroom, stuff like that?
Yeah, one thing that I've really noticed is that my expectations are higher for students because I know what they're capable of. And it's not to say that there's more work. It's not to say that I'm putting people out of their comfort zone necessarily, but a little bit of being out of your comfort zone is how you grow. But I know what students are capable of. I know what their limits are as far as how much I can push them to succeed, and really being able to bring elements of the competition and put them in my classroom. Not accepting, something that I would have accepted before I started eCybermission as far as reports go, because I know that they're capable of finding sources that are authentic, being able to find sources where the information and the data is real, being able to collect their own data and interpret that. I know that they're capable of that. And so it's changed my practice in a sense because I want all students to experience it. As I said, I run eCybermission as a club, and by definition, that's a small number of students that might, decide to take that on. But really, because I've seen how much they grow, being able to expose all my students to those same requirements, in a sense, maybe not as in depth, but knowing that, hey, they're capable of a little bit more. And I found that students really rise to the expectations that I've set forth. And when they rise to it, they're growing. As far as like their education level is really growing, and the amount of ownership they have in their learning is increasing.
Absolutely. I guess something I'd like to tag on to that, as someone who just went through a STEM curriculum in lower education not too long ago. I guess for the educators watching right now, if you've been on the fence whether or not you want to start something like eCybermission or a club of some kind of STEM competition at your school, go for it, because as we've heard Chris say, it's one of the ways that you can really get students to start getting involved and get passionate about science. And as he said it, showing what they are really capable of doing. And then for the students watching, similarly, if you've been on the fence thinking, you don't want to be necessarily under the pressure of a STEM competition because you think it might be too much to handle in some cases or too difficult of a project. I mean, we've heard you can do whatever project you want and you can take it as far as you want. And I personally see no reason not to get involved. As someone who did STEM competitions, not through AEOP, but different STEM competitions in my high school career, I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. One last thing for you, Chris, before we sign off for the day. If you had one piece of advice a piece of advice or words of wisdom for our students, our teachers, our family members listening who have been on the fence, what would you say to them?
I would say to them is, what are you waiting for? I mean, again, I can't talk enough about how eCybermission has really impacted my students. I can't tell you how confident they are when they leave my classroom. Even if, again, they don't win, it doesn't matter. The winning part, it fades into the background. Just go for it. You never know who's watching. You never know who's going to be take note of your project. And the person who you really need to be concerned with is the person in the mirror. The confidence the students get, the amount of work that they put into it is beyond anything that they've ever done. I say go for it. I've had students that have been waiting at my classroom door. Literally, this isn't a story, made up story. Literally at 6:30 in the morning. I usually get there about 6:45, 6:30, waiting there before I get to school. Working during lunch, coming into study hall time. I have to shoo them out at the end of the day because they don't want to leave. I've answered emails at 11 o'clock at night. That just shows the passion that they are putting into their projects. I had one team put over 1,000 hours collectively into their research and writing. And it's amazing what you can do, students, if you put your mind to it. And really, you need to want it. You need to just try. It's not hard. It's pretty cool to see where you can go. And to teachers out there, try it out. Watch your students shine. Watch them. They'll meet your expectations. They'll blow you away what they're capable of. And parents, offer that support. If you can't find a teacher that's willing to do it, take it on. It's not hard at all. It's super easy, and the benefits definitely outweigh any time that you put into it or anything like that. It's totally worth it.
Well, I believe this has been a very insightful log in our series that we've been running for the past several months. That is about all the time we have for this evening's broadcast, and it seems as though the questions have died off. But we'd like to thank our very special guest, Mr. Christopher Deleon, for joining us. And we'd like to thank our audience. Don't forget, if you're in middle school or high school, the deadline to enter the 2020 AEOP Alumni Challenge to save the bees is fast approaching. That's all for tonight, folks. Good night.
Miss an exciting episode of Person to Person? Can't make our live broadcasts? Why not subscribe to the AEOP membership YouTube channel and never miss an episode again? For more information on the Army Educational Outreach Program opportunities in your area, simply visit www.usaeop.com. Thank you for tuning in to AEOP's Person to Person. Join us again in 2 weeks.